sometimes bad shit has to happen in order to clear your path for better things. And the more that you go through these tough things, the more that you're going to learn how to do them next time when it happens. Because this is life. Like you're going to have bad shit happen to you. You are going to lose your job. You are going to break a bone. You're going to lose money. You're going to have to adapt. And the more that you have to adapt, the more that you're going to be able to adapt later and do better later when it happens again. Because it's not just going to happen once. I don't care who you are, you're not going to have a perfect life. Something fucking bad is going to happen to you, and you're going to have to adapt to that. You control the situation with the way that you react to it.
All right. Matthew Johnson, what are we about to get into to begin this podcast?
Raw liver, ketone IQ.
Okay.
So I'm getting into a little bit of raw liver. I've been trying it a couple days. It's supposed to have amazing health benefits. It's supposed to be one of the best, most nutrient-dense things you can do on the planet. And obviously, we're going to dive into it, but we are recovering from a broken bone, so I've been trying anything I can. I have hopped on the raw liver train.
Dude,
it can't hurt, right?
I'm just looking at it. I really appreciate the fact that you salted it for me. It looks like pink Himalayan sea salt on there.
Yes.
So I respect that. Beyond that, though, I'm pretty intimidated. We do have a ketone IQ, so I'm sure we'll be jazzed up here in about 15, 20 minutes. I've had this one time, but basically the world has blown up over that product.
Exactly. So what's better than raw liver?
Yeah.
Ketone IQ, energy, focus. I mean, everything you need right in front of us.
All right. So I was told not to chew it. I'm not going to chew it. I'm just going to swallow it, I guess, and we'll go from there and just rip the podcast after the ketone IQ.
Absolutely.
All right. Here we go. Here goes nothing.
Just right down the pipe.
Oh, nice. I can't even pick it up.
1, 2, 3.
Oh my gosh, dude. You gave me such a big piece.
Now we're ready to rock a podcast.
That's done.
How was that?
So, I didn't taste it because we just swallowed it immediately. But I thought I was going to record my death by choking on it because that was a really big piece of raw liver.
Swallowing it is the hardest part. It's not even the taste, it's swallowing that thing.
Yeah. Is that the recommended amount? How much was that, an ounce?
1 ounce, yeah. That was under an ounce. That weighed a little bit less, 0.87.
And they say just an ounce a day keeps the doctor away, or what?
An ounce a day.
Superpowers?
I guess, man. Here's the thing. I looked into it. It's nature's superfood. It's supposed to give you the most nutrients. It's the most nutrient dense thing on the planet. And with everything going on within the body, I'm I'm trying anything. So if it can help, then we'll find out.
Yeah, you can just tell by how dark the color is too. I feel like colors are kind of an indication of nutrients in food, and that's a really dark piece of meat and a little slimy, but
it's dark. And you do it raw because you cook it and and then it kills the benefits. That's the point of doing it raw. But I've had a lot of people reach out and they're like, dip it in honey, dip it in maple syrup, put salt on it, freeze it, take it like pills. But I think raw, that thing, that was raw right out of the package, raw with pink Himalayan sea salt.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll take it. And then the ketone IQ, I think that'll have us flowing here in a little bit. So let's kind of just, have a jumping off point here for some context. We were planning to do this podcast before the Leadville 100. And then we're like, you know what? Let's do it after the Leadville 100. And let's do it in Leadville, the day after. And then everyone needed their rest after the Leadville 100, and rightfully so.
Did you bring the stuff?
I brought everything.
Bro, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. No big deal. It happens.
Yeah.
So we got our rest as we needed, and ultimately ended up coming back to Texas, planning to do the podcast, the next week at the latest, and things just happened, and life happened, and we've basically waited so long to record this podcast that you have attempted another 100 miler before I could even sit down with you for a podcast.
Yeah. Keyword on that one is attempted.
Yeah.
Little humbled, but I'm always moving. You know that. Always moving.
You move fast. Well, tell us a little bit about that, just so we can get some context around where we're at now, and we can kind of use that as the entryway to our conversation today.
Yeah, so like post Leadville, I kind of had a clarity moment where, we failed the first Leadville attempt, and coming into Leadville 2, I'd waited so long, and I did this race, and we finished it, and everything was great. I took a nap, I woke up, I went outside, I literally sat outside. Casey Klein and Drew Darby found me sitting outside. I sat outside on the grass for an hour, and something just wasn't sitting right. Like, I didn't feel fulfilled, and over the next 2 weeks, I came to terms with I wanted to do more, and I set my sights on doing 4 100s in 105 days, with Leadville being 1, number 2 being the Saddle to Surf, number 3 being Tunnel Hill, number 4 being Brazos. And I made the decision to go race a 10-miler in New York, and during that time, we re-aggravated a fracture in my leg, and actually found out this week that we fractured that again before the 100-miler. So by the time we got through the 100-miler, got to mile 73, and everything was locking up. The pain was so immense that we had to, I couldn't take another step. We had to pull out.
Yeah. I think the first question I'll ask, and then we can kind of dive into why I believe this was the case, but the question that probably anyone will ask, and I'm sure you've heard, is why? Why wasn't Leadville enough? Why did you need more? What's the reasoning behind that?
Yeah, and I think honestly, I'm still working through that. I'm still trying to figure out what that is, because it's I get into this mindset, and it's a little bit of toxicity towards myself, but I feel like I can't celebrate a win. And that goes back to the BPN marathon, a legit win. I won the BPN marathon. I was living on a high, and I had this need to do Ironman Texas 6 days later. I did Ironman Texas, and that's where we broke the fibula at mile 24 of that race, and I PR'd Ironman Texas, and that was awesome. I felt great. I was forced to take time off, but I'm always there's just a point where it's hard for me to celebrate. I'm always just trying to chase the next thing. I think I have this persona about me where it's I want to keep chasing these hard things, because I have this, I just started running in 2021. I feel like I've wasted so much time, from my adulthood, that I didn't start running until I was 26. And, I've wasted so much time that I feel like I have so much to do and so little time to do it.
How much of that is truly your internal pressure that you're applying to yourself, and how much is it the feeling of a need to continue to perform for social media?
It's a great question, because, I had a friend, that I was talking to today, and I'm not going to dive too deep into that conversation, but a friend that I was talking to on the phone, and just telling him, issues that I thought I saw through social media. And he pretty much was like, are you sure you're not just making this shit up in your own head? And, I don't feel the need to prove myself. But I do feel the need. What it is I have this need of, I don't want to let anyone down. And I have so many people that reach out to me daily and weekly, monthly, that tell me I'm inspired by you. I'm running my first marathon because of you. I'm running my first half marathon because of you. And I have this thing inside me that it's I feel like I need to keep doing these things to, not let these people down. And I know that that's probably not healthy for me, but it's something I developed because I don't like letting people down. I don't like not doing what I say I'm going to do or what, I set goals towards.
Yeah. And what I will say is that the amazing thing about social media and just, our human nature is that we can be inspired by so many different aspects of our existence. And I think for you right now, being at a place where you're injured, you're going to have to overcome both mentally and physically this challenge that you're faced with. And that's something that people can derive inspiration from, maybe even more than seeing you run 100 miles. Because I know for me, one thing that I hate seeing on social media is when people portray the image that they are bulletproof and that they can push through anything, finish anything they set their minds to, and that there's no issues around it.
Yeah.
Because it's an inaccurate portrayal of the reality of how hard these things are that we do.
Yeah, and that was something, I feel the same way. And that was something, like that reel that we were just talking about, where I will never be that person that we finished, like we pulled ourselves out of the race. And even and I made a story post, like Drew Darby had my phone and was updating my Instagram all day, and we posted 20, like we were in the car 20 minutes later and we said mile 73 DNF. And we said why. And even the next morning, like Drew came up to me, and Drew works with many, many, many ultra runners and ultra athletes. And Drew came up to me and he goes, I was so surprised that you posted that. He's like, I see people that will wait months to say anything. And, he's like, I'm glad. I'm glad that you're that type of person that admits defeat. And I think that's why that reel has been kind of kicking off is, people, just like you said, people want to see that you're not Superman. You can act like you're Superman all day, and people want to see the real you.
Yeah. And this is almost a place that you've been this year too. You mentioned the initial injury happened at Ironman Texas, and I remember having discussions with you and just saying like, dude, we've got to make sure that you finish Leadville this year. Yeah. Leadville was extremely important to you. Do you want to kind of dive into why Leadville was so important this year? Yeah.
It's a story that a lot of people know. Last year we got into Leadville 29 days before the race and had no time to prepare. And we threw down. We went to throw down and got pulled out at mile 27. Got pulled out at...
Made it all the way to 87.
Made it all the way to 87 miles and got cut off by time. And man, that just that ate at me. That ate at me for so long. Because that was my first quote unquote failure. That was the first time I ever set my mind to something and I didn't accomplish that. Like I had set my mind to winning an ultramarathon in March of last year, and I won an ultramarathon in March. I set my mind on going sub 3 in January, and I went sub 3 in January. Like that was the first time that I set my mind on something, and I had to learn how to fail, or what failure was to me. So Leadville was super important this year, and it was different. We had I had the best support crew that I could have asked for, with you, Casey, Lauren. My brother was there, Mike was there, my mom was there, like everyone was there. Drew was there, and we had the fucking dream team, man. And that was a difference maker. It's having people there that truly supported you, and it makes it a hell of a time. And we got it done, and now that is in the rear view.
What was that moment like? Because I remember I can go back to my 100-miler, and there's those moments that are so special with the people that are there to support you. And I know crossing the finish line of my 100-miler, like you're pretty beat down and broken off by the time you cross the finish line, that it's almost as if like the things you truly take away are the moments that preceded that. Whether it be the moments of struggle or just the moments of community that you had with those people who are there to support you. So, to have that, cross that finish line and feel like the thing that you have been working towards for 12 months. I mean, truly mind set towards it for 12 months. You did other things in the interim, but it was like, no matter what, these decisions that we make have to be filtered towards the understanding that we're running Leadville in August and we're going to finish that thing.
Yeah.
And I paced you for that section where ultimately it led to a cutoff last year.
Yeah.
And I remember when we got to the end of my pacing section at May Queen, you said, this is where I got cut off last year. Like, I came out of this basically, technical terrain and boom, like it was just over just like that. What did it feel like to conquer that this year? Was it everything you thought it would be, or was there still something more that you wanted out of it?
It was more than what I thought it was going to be because of my crew. And and I really do mean that, because I remember key moments of the race. Like the first key moment I remember is coming into Outward Bound, and I remember Mike grabbing me, and that was the first moment I remember Mike and Lauren grabbing me and pulling me over off to the side. And the biggest thing for me, it was everything and more. It was, and the big thing was my crew. Seeing Mike, seeing you, they're seeing you. And I can't remember if it was coming into Outward or into Twin Lakes. It's on audio. As I'm coming down into Twin Lakes, you're like, dude, I'm so proud of you. You can hear it on the audio.
Yeah. And
it's dude, we're grown men.
Yeah.
And to hear that on the audio, every time I listen to it, I hear that on the audio. And hearing that and thinking about that moment with you and Mike, Mike was doing everything he could to help me and rubbing Ashe muscle gel on my legs. I picked up Casey and was so fired up that I dropped her. I dropped Casey. Casey, I know that you're going to listen to this, and I did drop you. And it was only because she couldn't breathe. She could not breathe well. Yeah. I was on a high. Then we saw you guys again, and my next thing with Mike is when I threw a Zen pouch at 70 something, and Mike is like, "What the hell is happening?"
Yeah.
Picked you up. Moment with you that I remember is you're trying to feed me, and I literally never hated you more in that moment than I'm pretty sure I grabbed that cookie and I tossed it off the mountain.
Dude, I'm such a pushover too that I remember you were like, all right, we need to pick up the pace. Hold me to 20 minutes per mile.
Yeah, dude.
You're hold me to
because
this.
I had blisters. Yeah. At that point we were 80 miles deep, and it was we were 80. We were 85.
Yeah.
We were 85 miles deep, and we knew I was getting goofy, but we all knew we were going to finish, and I was just we just needed to hold a good pace.
Yeah. But I mean, listen, Leadville's crazy, man. We were climbing for I was out there with you for 12 miles.
Yeah.
We were climbing for 10 of those miles, and I swear the other 2 miles that we maybe weren't climbing as much was extremely technical.
Well, it was the 2 miles where we descended into May Queen.
Yeah.
And my quads. That's where people were passing us because my quads were so destroyed. Right. Yeah, it was wild. And then we picked up Lauren, and Lauren was a godsend. If it wasn't for her, and I'm so glad because I strategically paced you, and I knew that Lauren would take no shit. You just said, you're I'm a pushover.
Yeah.
So I put you in the middle. I needed Casey as a hype woman. And I got that. And Casey, and I knew that Casey was going to be there to talk to me. We talked the entire time. I knew that I needed you because I knew that you're a bad motherfucker and you were going to be there with me when I was at my worst. Then I put Lauren where I knew that I needed someone that wasn't going to take no for an answer. And I begged Lauren for a nap. I begged Lauren to sit down. I begged Lauren to not eat. And she was like, no, you need to shut the hell up. You're going to get this done. The only thing that I regret about Leadville is the entire race, I pictured us all finishing together. And then I went back and I looked at that raw footage of me and my mom, and we just weren't all on the same page.
Right.
And I when I saw my mom, all of you guys pulled off, I was under the assumption that you guys were behind me. And I hugged my mom pulled off, and then you guys weren't there. I didn't know that you guys had pulled off until I got that video. But yeah, if I could, I pictured us all finishing together, and that was just one thing afterwards where I was like, damn, I really wish we would have done that different. Because I mean, the crew and the pacers, they put in the work too, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, Leadville, man.
I mean, listen, the people that were there, it's truly amazing to see everyone functioning let's be honest, at like 50%, but they are maximizing every bit of their strength every step of the way.
And they're operating like a NASCAR pit stop.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was a NASCAR pit stop.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember how chaotic Outward Bound was? I think about Outward Bound.
Outward Bound's chaotic.
Because you guys were off the path.
Mm-hmm.
And last year, like my crew wasn't off the path. Like
Mm-hmm.
I literally walked right up to them.
Mm-hmm.
I had to it was packed.
Yeah.
And I had to weasel through the crowd, and yeah, crewing's hard. My crew at Saddle to Surf, that was wild. My crew chief, who you were kind of crew chiefing that, was Drew, and Drew was also my content guy.
Drew's everything.
So
man.
there was when we left the start line at Saddle to Surf, I had nothing in my vest.
Yeah, he told me about that.
I
recently.
had nothing. I had no wall. I had nothing.
Yeah.
I literally had my vest on, and there was nothing in it. There was nothing, no water, no nothing. Yeah. But that's a whole story down the road.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, just to kind of tie a bow on Leadville, I think the main takeaway for me in seeing what you've done over the past few months is you can draw a lot of amazing lessons from both success and failure. Mm-hmm. And I guess my next question is, do you almost feel like you draw more lessons or more value from the failure?
It's hard because it really depends on the failure. Mm-hmm. I mean, in what you define failure as. I feel like I learned nothing at Saddle to Surf. There was nothing that I learned about myself. There was nothing that I learned about. We kind of just went out there and did it on a whim. Mm-hmm. It was a smaller race, but I learned a lot from Leadville. But I also think that it takes a lot. You have to risk a lot of things. You have to put failure on the table in order to learn. So I think you learn more by putting failure on the table and doing something so hard that you have the probability of failing in order to learn something. That's where I think you learn the most, is just failure being on the table. Whether you fail or not, if you put failure on the table and have it be a true fucking possibility, that's when you're going to learn something no matter what happens, no matter if it's a good or bad outcome.
Does failure scare you at all?
Not anymore. Because I feel like Leadville really taught me how to fail, or not really how to fail, because failure is, if you learn something, did you truly fail? Right. The big thing is if you set a goal and you don't achieve that goal, technically the textbook definition is that you failed. Mm-hmm. But if you can learn something and take away and be able to reanalyze, readjust, and continue moving forward, it's not really a failure. Run it back. Do it again.
Yeah.
Figure it out, do it different, and do it again. And it's not a failure. So I think the real question here is what is failure? Yeah.
Yeah, failure is a word that I've gone back and forth on. I agree with you that if we learn a lesson, it's not a failure. But I also believe that assigning a word that just evokes such a response like failure does. When I ask people about failure, when I talk about failure, when I tell somebody that I failed, it's almost like they want to suppress that blow, that harsh word that I said. We don't want to accept it. And I do believe that if we fall short of something and if we then learn from it, ultimately we come out stronger. But I also believe in assigning that meaning to it by saying, hey, I fell short and I'm not afraid to call it a failure.
Right. Yeah.
Now, what am I going to make of it?
Yeah, 100%. And here's the thing. Saddle to Surf. The goal was to go under 18 hours. Mm-hmm. And I broke my fucking leg. I don't categorize that as a failure. Yeah. I mean, I did not accomplish my goal. So technically, did I fail? Yeah. But to me, in my mind, I don't look in my mind to Saddle to Surf and think about it and think fail. Like I did with Leadville 1. Like Leadville 1 afterwards, I was destroyed for 365 days. So what makes it so different? And that's and I think it's very, it's very subjective. And I feel like as humans, we determine in our head, we determine our own failures. I don't think anyone else can determine what our failure is.
What about Leadville 1 versus Saddle to Surf was a failure?
See, and I don't know, because I mean Leadville 1 was like, I set my sights on that. I was like, I'm going to run 100 miles.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe because it was my very first ultra marathon over a 50K,
mm-hmm.
and it was my very first run ever over 40,
mm-hmm.
and it was my very first 100 miler. Maybe because I wanted to knock it out.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe at that time I thought I had something to prove, which like I think I did for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to prove things. I don't know, I mean, here's the thing. My mind decides things, and I either go to war against it or I let it roll. And I think that we just kind of decided that, as odd as that sounds, my mind just kind of decided that Saddle to Surf wasn't a failure, and I'm just going to roll with it.
Do you think it's the meaning you put behind it?
Yeah, I do, because I feel like Saddle to Surf didn't mean a lot to me.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a schedule filler.
Mm-hmm.
There's a great plot behind the race to help kids, and I loved that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
The money goes to a charity. I loved that. But to me, it was more like a fun run, and it was literally through the cities. Like, it was through, Norco down to Huntington Beach. Like, it didn't feel to me like this wasn't Western States. This
mm-hmm.
wasn't UTMB. This wasn't the Javelina 100. Like, this was a pavement race through Southern California.
Yeah.
Sick, still 100 miles, still not to be taken lightly, but there wasn't a lot of meaning to it behind me, and I signed up 3 weeks out.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have a build up to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, your build-up was running a pretty good time in Brooklyn, but
Brooklyn.
Obviously not related in terms of the distances and the training.
Bronx, yeah.
Bronx. I ask about the meaning thing because I've signed up for races, and I've tried to convince myself that I wanted something, and it was the moments where I truly wanted something. Like, I believe you truly wanted Leadville, both the first year and especially this year.
Yeah.
It was that moment that you knew that you would do anything to finish that race, and I saw that in your eyes on the course in the days leading into Leadville this year. And I just know that when you put yourself in the same position, even if you're strong enough to overcome the situations that you faced at Saddle to Surf, which I do believe, if that's Leadville, you still finish Leadville this year.
Yeah, and here's the thing on that is like my leg, I wasn't mentally defeated, but I was mentally fucked up. Like we already said, like you and I already, you chatted with Drew, we couldn't run the night before.
Mm-hmm.
4 p.m. We
Right.
went to do the shakeout run the night before Saddle to Surf, and I couldn't run because I was in so much pain.
Mm-hmm.
I made it to the start line, like you know what I mean? Like I was like, I'm still like we're gonna throw this bitch down and see what happens,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what we did. And man, to lead that thing. Number one, to lead that thing to mile 73 and to get to mile 73, I was good. I was good. I could have walked it in.
Mm-hmm.
But at that point, it was like, we're going to do more damage to the leg walking this in. And we're going to, we were at 14 hours at that point. Like, we were going to finish at like 29 hours. Like if I was walking 30-minute miles.
Mm-hmm.
No one wants to be out there for 29 hours walking and damaging your body for a race that has no implications on my life later.
It's risk over reward.
Risk over reward. And start line, risk over regret.
Mm-hmm.
Try it out.
Where do you find yourself now dealing with this injury? What are the opportunities that sit before you even in this challenging moment?
I mean, at this moment, like... I'm pretty lost, to be honest. Like, I'm just, my routine has changed. My days are different. I'm tracking all my food now. I'm weightlifting. I had a plan. I had a plan, and the plan was yanked away from me. And that, that's where I think the true person is built and how they can adapt and overcome. Like, I think back to the military, right? and you have this objective and you plan for days and days and days on like what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. And then always in training, as soon as you get ready, they'll change it right away. Mm-hmm. And they'll throw something at you that literally fucks it all up. And so luckily, like, I think, you know, I've been through a lot of training like that. And I think I have the mental toughness and the resiliency to adapt and overcome, because I was taught that for so long. But it is a struggle. It's hard to, you know, kind of figure it out. I mean, I had a 100 planned, you know, in November, and then a 100 planned in December. And now I don't have anything. You know, it's hard to, you know, when you represent all of these brands and you represent them around the ultra space and around running, it's hard to feel like you didn't let them down. Yeah, it's just something that, you know, at this point I'm trying to navigate and work around, I guess. I don't know how I am right now.
Yeah. I mean, I asked that question because I know after my first 100, I anticipated the struggle that is like losing that thing that you've been training for, and you truly build your daily life around that goal.
Yeah, I mean, I was running, like, you know this, I was running 100
mm-hmm.
to 120 miles a week.
Yep.
Like, I was actively running for almost 20 hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine like going to a job for 20 hours and then now you have no job. Like, what do you do for those 20 hours a week? Like, you're running 6 days a week. What's that? 4 hours, 3 hours a day,
mm-hmm.
A little over 3 hours a day. Now 3 hours, and then you add in travel time, you add in, you know, time that you get back, you're going to shower, time that you're going to eat. Like, I now have a free 5.5 hours in my day. Every day. And for me, it's like, okay, like, you know, I've allotted this 5.5 hour block for running for so long. Now what do I fill it with?
You know, it's funny you mentioned you have a job for 20 hours a week and then it disappears. How about you have a job for 40 hours a week and it consumes your mind for much more than 40 hours a week and then it disappears? Like, these are things that people experience, and we know running is simply just like so many lessons of our daily lives that we get to live out, and we get to choose that struggle until it's taken away from us. And what do? I wish anyone had a really good answer. All you do is you sit in that struggle. And I sat in that struggle, both, you know, coming off of running or losing a job. And then you're sitting in that struggle once again, because I know you did after Ironman Texas. Yeah. And what do? You almost have to appreciate it because there's something that's going to be learned from it.
Yeah. And now, like you said earlier, right? Like I did not run for 51 days after Ironman Texas in April. I didn't run the last 2 weeks in April and the entire month of May. Mm-hmm. That was freaking hard.
Yeah.
This hasn't been that hard. Now, am I, you know what I, like I'm relating it to the hard that I felt in April. In April, I was destroyed. I was meant, like if you would have asked me how I was in April, I'd have busted down crying instantly. Like, I was lost. Yeah. You know, but the cool thing is that I think I learned from that. And I read a quote the other day, and it was, sometimes the storm doesn't always come to destroy you, but it comes to wash things away that couldn't be. Mm-hmm. And so what I got from that is sometimes bad shit has to happen in order to clear your path for better things. And the more that you go through these tough things, the more that you're going to learn how to do them next time when it happens, because this is life. Like you're going to have bad shit happen to you. You are going to lose your job. You are going to break a bone. You're going to lose money. You're going to have to adapt. And the more that you have to adapt, the more that you're going to be able to adapt later. and do better later when it happens again. Because it's not just going to happen once. Not everyone, I don't care who you are, you're not going to have a perfect life. Something fucking bad is going to happen to you, and you're going to have to adapt to that. It's going to help you later. So if you can you control the situation with the way that you react to it. I'm put in this bad situation, right? Like my livelihood is built off of running. 100%. I left the military. I went in, all in on coaching, all in on athlete. My livelihood is there. And then we get to a point where that is ripped away from me. I have two choices. I either sit in it and be sad and this sucks and my life sucks and I can't believe this happened to me. Woe is me. Blah, blah, blah. Fuck that. Like, okay, this happened. Let's go hit the gym. Let's get stronger. Let's track our food. Let's track our macros. Let's double down on coaching. Let's double down on work. How can we make more money? How can we build better relationships with people? Now I have time. Now I have the 5.5 hours I lost. What can I do with those 5.5 hours to better me, better my life, better my relationships, better my bank account? What can I do? There's two ways to look at it.
Yeah, it's almost like we need to be brought back to that state of balance, because as people who are very driven and we love to express ourselves physically and we love to set these scary goals and find that level of discomfort that we can overcome, if the world does not bring us down at some point, we'll never allow ourselves to find that balance. And by balance, I mean you get to invest all of those values that you express through running or through physical activity. You get to now invest those in other ways, like you were just mentioning.
Yeah. And just like you said, like, you know, I was talking to somebody the other day at the gym, and that's what I told them. I said, this was God slowing me down. Mm-hmm. Like this was, you know, if this didn't happen, I would have ran on this leg until it snapped, until it literally snapped. And I would have never taken, like, if I didn't pull out of that race because I was literally that hurt, I would have never taken, I hurt myself again during a track workout. I rebroke that bone during a track workout. We found that out with the doctors. That bone was rebroken during a track workout, and it was hammered down on at the Bronx. Mm-hmm. And then we hammered down on it again during a 100-miler. I was hurt, and I was still continuing to run. Being hurt progressed into being physically, I was still running, hurt. And then it progressed into being physically unable to move my body. And I'm like, okay, like now I need to go get this checked out. If I would have not have been physically unable to move my body, I would have still kept running and not went to the doctor. I broke the entire fibula in April and didn't even go to the doctor. Mm-hmm. Like this all was meant to happen. This was meant to slow me down. I need to slow down a little bit, reevaluate, and go for what's next.
Brought back to earth.
Brought back down. You know, blessing in disguise maybe. We'll see. You know, lots of big things to come in 2024.
I mean, I've been there. Fortunately, nothing's broken physically in the past few years, but I can honestly say that everything that you just described from a physical perspective, like, was broken in me mentally and emotionally 8 to 10 months ago.
Yeah.
And I look back at those moments, and it's really hard to digest that struggle and the situation that you feel like you forced yourself in. It's like, why did I put myself in this situation, and now I have to deal with the consequences? But as you begin to navigate your way through that, and you see that you are made for more than that thing that you were potentially over-investing in, that's where you start to realize that you needed to break. You needed to lose that thing that you thought was so important, and in reality, it was only just a small part of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this will allow me to kind of reevaluate a lot of things. And, you know, I've had a bunch of people tell me, a bunch of close friends that I value their opinions tell me that I need to slow down. And I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But now we're slowing down. We're going to slow down a little bit.
So what can you do in those moments where you're slowing down? And really the real question is, when you're healthy again, do you have the foresight to say, man, I need to watch out to not pushed so far to, for lack of a better term, a breaking point?
No.
Right.
Because here's the thing. I broke because the body wasn't ready. And I've been doing this only since 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Here's and why I say no and why I say this is because when I healed after those 51 days, when I quote unquote healed and the broken bone was, better, I was running 100 miles a week, still on a fracture and had no idea, and I was fine. The body will adapt. I just will be way more strategic and build up the miles for a lot longer next time, because our bodies are capable. Our bodies will adapt. Runners get injured. Top tier runners get injured. But the people that don't get injured, think about Sally McRae. Sally McRae runs all of these races and is injury free because she trains correctly. Mm-hmm. I don't train correctly. I train hard, long, and stupid.
Yeah.
And that's what I think I learned is like, I need to do this smarter, or I'm gonna fucking be out of this sport.
Yeah.
Quickly. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to mess that up. So train smarter, be smarter, and take care of yourself a little bit better. I never prioritize recovery. That was a big issue too.
Yeah, I mean, I think two things. The line moves. Certainly, like when you get back and you build back, you are stronger for all of the training that you put in. Whether it ended up breaking you or not, you are stronger for it, and that line has probably progressed a little bit further. The other thing is it goes back to what we were talking about with social media and showing those hard moments, is that you can honestly say, like, I wasn't doing it right. There's smarter ways to do it, and you're looking up to someone like Sally, who's a perfect representation of, like, through years and years and years, I'm sure injuries, she understands that, like, there are times where you have to scale back. There are times where you can really push.
Yeah, I mean, during her, during all of those races, during the Choose Hard movement, she was running, 100 to 200 mile races, and between these races was not running at all. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where a lot of runners get mixed up, is that as soon as they are done with a race, they want to get right back to running. Me, and I'm talking, it's me, I am runner. They want to get right back into running again. And then you look at these top tier athletes like Sally, and Sally does, Badwater in June? Mm-hmm. And then the next race was August for Leadville. Mm-hmm. Or maybe, no, she raced Tahoe in July. She raced June, July, August. Mm-hmm. But between the June and July races, she did not run. Or very, very minimal. Yeah. And then between the July and August races, she did not run, or very, very minimal. She focused on strength training. She focused on keeping her body limber. And, there's smarter ways to do this than what I do. I do not claim, I tell all my athletes that. Do as I say, not as I do. Yeah. Because I do shit the stupid way. And I don't know. Maybe that's what makes it so fun to follow along.
I think it's about just understanding what you place the most importance on. It's like, do you want the instant gratification of being able to train today and say and show that you trained really hard, or do you want the delayed gratification that is doing it the smart way, which sometimes means pulling back and investing in the recovery, in the rest, in the other areas of your life? And if you can pull back at the right times, not all the time, but if you can pull back at the right times, then you're going to peak at the right time. Mm-hmm. And I heard, listening to an audiobook basically discussing like marathoning, and it's like, don't peak too early. And I think that in today's culture with social media, we're all trying to peak every single day.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Everyone's just trying to do the next hard thing. And it's me. I'm everyone. I keep saying that. I don't know, man. It all is what it is. It's my life. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to do it how I want to do it. But I will also be the first one to tell you, like, hey, I fucked up. Like, my bone's broke because I didn't train the right way. Am I going to fix it next time? I don't know. Maybe. But it's my consequences. I'll reap it, and we'll go from there.
Unapologetic, but self-aware.
100%. Yeah, 100%. You know, there's plenty of people on social media that love telling me in my inbox that, like, I'm an idiot. Yeah. Or, like, you know.
I'm sorry. I apologize for that one.
And it's like, hey, look, people, like, I know. Like, I already know these things. like, I know this. Thank you. I appreciate it. That's what I told everyone, you know, when everyone's like, oh, my gosh, like, that sucks. You broke your bone. And I'm like, well, I made my bed. Now I'm going to lie in it. I mean, I knew. Like, I knew the night before. The night before, I should have pulled out of the race. But I had the opportunity. I thought that if I have the opportunity in front of me, this flat course, the perfect weather, the perfect temperatures, the perfect place, I can go sub 18 if everything goes right. So I took the risk. And it didn't pay out. So that's my problem. And now we adjust and we move on.
What's your relationship with regret?
I mean, really, like, should you ever regret anything you do? Because at one time you chose to do it. Anything that you do in your entire life. This is what I say. Regret nothing. Because what you are regretting now, at one point, was something that you wanted to do.
Do you feel, though, that people wind up only regretting the things that they didn't try? Because I feel like you don't even put yourself in that position, which is why I asked the question. It's like, you don't leave room for regret. Sure, you could say, man, I regret trying, but I know you and the discussion that we've had here already today, and I know that that's not where your regret is driven from. It's if you said, no, it's probably smarter if I don't do this, that's where you would live in regret.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the only regret I'm going to find is that if I went out to saddle to surf and I snapped my leg, and I'd be like, damn, like, I should not have done that. So, yeah, the regret that I find is like, you know, but like I just said, why regret it when at one time I made the choice because I wanted to do it? Anything that you ever do, anything that you ever make the choice to do, in that moment when you are making the choice to do it, you want to do it. So why are you going to regret it later? You in that moment wanted to make that choice. So if you regret it later, you need to remember that at one time, whether that was 10 minutes ago, 10 hours ago, 10 days ago, 100 days ago, at one time when you made the choice to do it, you wanted it.
I really think the only regret we should allow ourselves to have is when we have 1 foot in and 1 foot out. And we don't fully commit because we're like, well, maybe I should and maybe I shouldn't. And, you know, maybe you should have gone to run, saddle to surf. Maybe you shouldn't have. But when you were there, when you were in that moment, even when the sign said that maybe you shouldn't, you still said, but I'm here, so I'm all in on it.
Yeah.
And there's no room for regret when you accept the fact that I'm all in on this present moment. And that presence, man, I was talking to a friend the other day about my experience with running 100 miles and seeing, you mentioned Lauren, seeing Lauren crush her 100-miler this past weekend. She posted a video. She was at mile like 75 or 80, and you could tell she was hurting. And some weird part of me in the comfort of my apartment saw that and thought, man, I wish I was there right now. I wish I was at mile 80 with her, experiencing those same feelings. And at the moment, I didn't know why. I didn't know why I wanted that feeling. I just knew that some part of me was like, that'd be pretty cool. But it was deeper than that. It was because I know that in that moment, all she can truly worry about is that next step, is that next mile. And it's that presence. It's that presence in the moment that, like, I don't know how else you get it, but that's how I want it. That's what I want that feeling to be.
Yeah. I mean, that's different. I was looking at her stories and I'm like, damn, like I've been there. That's like you're looking at her story like, damn, I wish I was there. I'm looking at her stories like, damn, yeah, I know how that
It's been
feels.
a little bit longer for me.
I know,
though.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, man, you're coming up on a year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was looking at that and I'm like, man, like watching her walk the next morning.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, like
hard earned.
I'm like, yeah, I know exactly how that feels. But like, that is actually something. You're right. I mean, that is like that feeling of you put it all on the line. Like the next morning after Saddle to Surf when I couldn't stand up.
Mm-hmm. At least you did it.
God, I love that feeling, man. Like because I know that I gave it everything my body had, to the fact where I was like, granted, I had a broken bone.
Yeah.
But I was in the bed and I had to yell out to Drew and Abby, and I'm like, hell, someone needs to come help me get out of this bed. I was like, I can't. Like I couldn't. Like I couldn't move my legs. Mm-hmm. Like I couldn't move my legs at all. And they had to come in and like there's a video of Drew like carrying me to the kitchen. Mm-hmm. And yeah, good times.
It's just you don't know. There's so much opportunity in our lives to leave it all out there. But how often do we ever truly leave it all out there? I mean, I ran 100 miles, and I can honestly say I didn't leave it all out there. There was still a little bit left to give. And I think that if you can even get close, like if you can even sniff that feeling of like, oh, man, this is like me giving such a high capacity of myself, something about that,
that
man,
is so true
exciting.
Because like I remember like when I got done with Leadville, even you guys said that night, you're like, you don't even look like you ran 100 miles. I was so fucking prepared for Leadville.
Yep.
And I could have won a lot. I think I could have won a lot more miles that day. Saddle to Surf. No, yeah. I gave it all I had. I can confidently tell you right now, there was not anything else left to give when I sat down at 73. Mm-hmm. I couldn't give anything more. I had nothing left. And so I've been there. I've been there on the point to where, like you just said, like there's a little bit more to give. And now I've been to the point where I have nothing. I have nothing left to give. And they're both similar feelings. Mm-hmm. You know, the feelings after 100 are the same, but to sit there at 73 and not have control over what's happening in your body. When even Austin was standing there and he goes, I'm fucking mind blown right now. And he's like, you are so alert. You are so aware. You are bouncing off the walls right now from, in your brain. And he goes, and we're stopping. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I don't have a choice. I cannot.
The mind will outlast the body.
Yes, 100%. If you know how to train your mind.
And that's exactly what I was thinking is the body and the mind are trained in synchronicity with each other, but one is ultimately going to outlast the other. Like if all of that training you did for Leadville, you were training both your mind and your body. And when you continue to do that and the mind strengthens at an even similar rate as the body is strengthening, that's actually where it gets dangerous because your mind's going to keep going. It's going to keep saying yes, more, more, more. And the body's like, hey, man, I can't keep up.
Yeah, that's why I think I'm so good at this. Honestly, like that's why I am so hyped to continue this ultra journey, because I feel like where other people's minds fail, mine is just getting started. Mm-hmm. And my body, in everything I've done, my body starts to give out before my mind does. And for others that do things like this or that are just starting, their body will give out first. Uh-huh. It's like if you can train your body to an elite level and then train your mind to an even higher level, you can always just push a little bit farther.
You're going to strike gold at some point.
A little bit farther. 1 foot in front of the other.
Yeah, that's I feel like everyone's searching for the thing, the X factor, and it's like, that's it. Is going in with such a confidence that I'm not going to quit. Like, I'm going to keep going no matter what it looks like from the outside. if I have this goal and I have conviction in this goal, you can't stop me. And it's that belief that will run you up against the wall sometimes, but ultimately it's that belief that makes you who you are. And we all have the ability to channel that and use it to our advantage. But too many of us fail to train the mind to find that confidence that says, yes, you can.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. That was solid. I don't even have anything to say to that. That was great.
So what does this look like now? Because here's what I would imagine, right? We know if we stop training the body regresses. You're at a point right now where you can train the body in certain ways, but not in the way that you love training it, which is in that ultra marathon capacity, in those moments where you truly have to like go to the edge of your capabilities. I would imagine, and I believe that the mind can also regress alongside the body. So what does this look like the next few months as you battle bouncing back, recovering properly, because we know we want to do this in a smart way so that we can have a strong year next year. Mm-hmm. But we need the mind to be there. We need to be strong. We need to be value driven. What does this look like for you?
You know, kind of just like what we talked about today, right? Is like you just find different ways to push your body to the limit. And we talked about that in the gym where, you know, picking up weights and training for hypertrophy and doing these bodybuilder type workouts to where you are pushing your muscles to failure every single set. We talked about that being very similar to finding that dark zone or, you know, that this sucks, you know, mentality. And right now for me, I think it's doing that. You know, getting a bike, get a bike on a trainer. You can find a pretty dark spot on a bike. I'll promise you that. You know, put the bike on the trainer, get on the bike, you know, just stay active, right? Just, you know, but also take time to, you know, dive into, you know, more coaching stuff, more business stuff, you know, keeping the mind sharp. I don't think that within, you know, 2 or 3 months that the mind's gonna, where my mind is now, my mind will always be.
Yeah.
Who I am now mentally, like I will always be mentally strong. Been through too much shit, done too much shit. I don't think my mind regresses in 3 months, but the body will, and that's okay. You just build back. I've already built back once, and I built back way better before I got hurt again. So now I know it's going to be more than 51 days because we did 51 days the first time. September 30th was the last day I ran. And, you know, maybe we go to December 30th. Maybe we take 12 weeks off. Maybe we celebrate the new year with a 50-mile run right out the gate. Oh, shit. There's my toxicity again. Yeah. But I don't know, man. We'll figure it out. We're gonna stay sharp. We're gonna stay on it. Do some bodybuilding stuff. Build some muscle. Look good for a while. Then get the runner bod back. Yeah. So we're gonna play with it. That's the best thing about the body. You can change it however you want.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. You caught a glimpse of you know just how strong you are, and I think that when we catch a glimpse of success, maybe we catch a win, and that's a special moment for us, and it leaves us wanting more. We don't sit in that satisfaction and allow it to hold us over for the rest of our lives. And I think when you catch that glimpse and you see what you're truly capable of, man, you're hungry. And you don't lose that feeling of like, I know I can get back there. And I think that's where you're going to be. And I think that's where everyone needs to be. Let yourself get that win. Let yourself push really hard for a goal that scares the heck out of you. And when you push hard for it and you achieve it, man,
risk it all.
You can use that for anything else you want moving forward, as long as you can re-up on that agreement with yourself every once in a while.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that.
All right. Well, I'm fired up.
Yeah, I'm fired up too. I'm literally sitting here. I'm like, wow, like this man's spitting some prophecy here.
Well, I appreciate you. You know,
I'm glad we were finally able to lay it down, man. It's been
when I reached out to you for the first time on Instagram, you were still in Iowa. I was in Texas. Actually, I was in Kentucky for Christmas break, knowing that I was going to run the Rocky Raccoon 100 in about 6 weeks. And I said, hey, man,
Oh,
if you want to come pace, like, I'd be happy to have you. I'm looking for some pacers to help me get through these 100 miles. And it's a sign of who you are that you said, yeah, I'll be there. And from there, man, I was locked in on everything you were doing because I know that you were there to support me for everything I was.
Yeah, man. I mean, shit, like, I saw the text that you sent me. That was my background for a while. I went through some shit, and, you know, everything I went through back home, and I had nobody. I didn't know anybody in Texas coming down here. I knew nobody, but I knew you and Abby were here. And, you know, that was a relationship built around the ultras. And here's the thing, man. If someone asks me for my help and I know that they are a genuinely good human being, like, I want to be there for people. I want to help people. I want to do everything I can for people. Sometimes that's a bad thing. Sometimes it's a great thing. You know, for you and I, it turned out great. We're great friends. We've been great friends ever since. Yeah, I mean, I didn't even meet you until 2 days before Rocky, and then Adam Klink tried to fucking kill me. Like, literally the same day, Adam Klink put me through a workout and tried to kill me. And then I literally paced Austin, and I felt shittier than you when I was pacing you, bro.
I heard the horror stories from your experience pacing.
God, dude, fuck. And Pierce Adam Klink tried to kill me during a workout, and then Pierce wrecked me on an electronic skateboard. Yeah. And then my whole ass was literally bare because I had no skin on my ass. And then I got your car seats all lubed up, and
there's a lot that can go.
That's a whole other podcast.
Well, all of that to say, I appreciate you. I am always in your corner to support everything you've got going on, and really, I do believe that. You know, we've talked a lot about the physical and the mental investments that we make in our lives, but like people are the ultimate investment that you can make. Invest in the people that surround you, and they'll invest back in you, and can't ask for more. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I think the moral of the story here is if you're looking into somebody, or, you know, you look up to somebody, or you want somebody to be there for you, reach out and ask them a question. Hey, will you come pace me? Hey, do you want to get coffee? Hey, I would love to meet you. Hey, I would love to connect with you. Like, if you would have never sent that message, we wouldn't be sitting here right now. We wouldn't have had all those nights in the gym. We wouldn't have had the dinner at your house. We wouldn't have done all these things. Send the fucking message, man. I think that's another thing to close this out on is if you want to connect with someone, if you want anything in life, send the message. No hesitation, man. Just send it. Send it. All right. Thanks for listening. Have a great one. We're out.